Steph here with TinyFindsTreasures, and today's episode is a little bit different. I'm going to be talking to you about everything that has sold thus far this year in my Etsy store, TinyFindsTreasures, which is a vintage Etsy shop. Usually you're seeing thrift with me videos.
Did I just find a Potosi? Because I think I did.
But today I wanted to share something a little different that I thought some of you may be interested in, maybe even all of you, which is what is selling well for me as a vintage reseller. Now, if you're not interested in this at all, that is okay. You can skip this video. But if you want to see what has flipped well for me with vintage finds and has sold on my Etsy store, stay right here. Let's talk briefly numbers a little bit first. Now keep in mind, very much so keep in mind, I am new at this. I just opened my Etsy store on a whim last July, I think July or October, not July or October, July or August. I am a complete newbie at this. I started this a couple months kind of on a whim after I delivered my twins last June. We're coming up on the 1 year mark. Kind of as, okay, I have to keep myself busy in other ways while still being a good mom, but I'm one of those moms that's a healthier mom if I'm doing something else too. You know what I'm saying? So that's where this all started and is very new. So when I'm talking about this, please don't think I'm an expert. This is just coming from the viewpoint of a very new vintage reseller and what has worked well for me lately. I am going to show you just from 2025, so January 1st, 2025 through May. One thing I need you to keep in mind is your girl, as I said in my last video, has a bunch of inventory and does not list it quickly or efficiently. So I only have 35 active listings in my Etsy shop right now, which for reference is not enough. I have seen other resellers and people I follow on YouTube who I trust, like Andy from All Put Together, mention that you should probably have at least around 100 listings to come up high and early in a search to make more sales, etc. All makes sense to me. I just have not gotten the workflow down to where I'm having that amount of listings at one time. So I do think my sales would be higher if I had more listed in the first place. That's my first point. Secondly, what have I sold thus far in a dollar amount? My revenue thus far, and this is net revenue, so when I say net revenue, I mean subtracting the Etsy fees and the Etsy shipping, because I offer free shipping, which means I pay the shipping, so that comes out of my Etsy account. My net revenue is $1,379.10. How many orders did I have? I have 13 orders thus far this year. And while I'm still getting my feet wet, I'm okay with having 13 orders thus far. This is not counting anything else I have sold or flipped. So I have some Facebook Marketplace things I've done. I have a personal shopper that I'm doing. That's not counting any of that revenue. So how much am I making about per sale? Roughly, with 13 sales and my net revenue, I am making about $106 per sale. That number, when I saw that, I was really happy with, because I've been trying and focusing on getting items and listing items that I can make a bigger profit margin off of, because I'm putting time into the shopping and sourcing, I'm putting time into the listing. Heavens, am I putting times into the listing? Once I get faster at listing things, my life is going to be easier, and I know it's going to get better and faster and quicker for me to have more on Etsy. But my goodness, it takes a second to get that listing down. So my point being, I'm putting in time into these different things, including shipping and taking to UPS and whatnot, although you can schedule a pickup if you want. So I want that higher profit margin. Now, one other thing. Etsy doesn't take into consideration that I know of, please comment below and let me know if I'm wrong, what your expense was for the item you're listing in Etsy. So the cost of your inventory, essentially. Please, if I am getting this wrong or I have just not noticed it, comment below and let me know. But I went through, and from what I could remember, which you should probably not do this, from what I could remember of what the price of each item that sold was, I subtracted my cost, and my net profit after subtracting my inventory costs was $680.79. Is that a bigger difference? 100% it is, and I have a good idea of why that is. One, I think I spent too much money on a few items. One being one that was $100 and I think I sold for $120. We'll get to that, but you get my point. Buy low, sell high. That's the key. Now I do have some items I did really great with the idea of buy low, sell high, like the Korean Celadon vase I got for $4 and sold for over $200. So it's just a learning process, right? So be patient with yourselves if you are new, because I already have so much more knowledge than I did when I started on a wing and a prayer. For now, let's talk about what has sold in 2025, starting with a set of 3 handmade Pringle pottery coffee cups. Now this one was, actually I didn't know it at the time, but my mother bought these, so kind of counts, kind of doesn't. January 20th, a vintage bamboo and rattan double tiered wall hanging shelf. I have heard these are hot, and this one did sell for me pretty quickly. I sold it for $115, so that one was a good flip. January 30th, I sold a vintage oval brass tray with gold etching around the side. This one was really beautiful. This is an example of one I maybe paid a little more for. This I got at an estate sale for $20, but I did sell it for $89, so there was still some profit in there, and it is a great piece. This is one that I showed you how I was cleaning the intricate brass details with a toothbrush, and it worked really well. February 11th, vintage ceramic fish salt and pepper shakers. This is definitely an example where I spent too much. This pair of salt and pepper shakers I bought for $11. Definitely, looking back, too high. But now I know, because I sold them for $22. So I think I made $4 after shipping and fees. February 24th, the Korean Celadon vase. This was such a great find. I found this vase when I first went to the Avondale Goodwill down in the city, and it was marvelous. I didn't know it was quite as valuable as what it really was when I got home, but I knew it was valuable. So that one sold for $225. And that, as a side note, is for sure my best flip and profit to date. And I'm so glad my customer got a beautiful, stunning vase she can keep and cherish. Now I'm not gonna keep saying the date, but you get the idea. It's spread apart a little bit, and I think if I had more listings to choose from, I'd be getting a couple more sales per week. Now I am okay with this cadence of sales right now because I'm, trying to push out about 2 videos a week for YouTube, and that takes a lot more time. But I still know I'm procrastinating listing on Etsy, so I need to get to it so I can have some more sales too. Next, we have a trio of vintage wavy brass candlesticks. I am finding, although I don't have a lot of candlesticks listed, so let's start there. But any brass candlesticks with a little something special, I think, are doing better than regular brass candlesticks, if that makes sense. Then we have 2 of my Goodwill finds that one of you bought. Deb, thank you so much. We have the beautiful floral vertical orientation paintings, and I sold those for $185. Then we have an Old Man in the Sea painting. This one was unframed. Also, I think it was based around another painting, like famous painting that had already been out, so I don't think it's necessarily original, but nevertheless it is a painting. So that one sold for $55. And then we have a vintage giclée, which is essentially a fancy print. So this one is the one where I paid up for it. I paid $100. I sold it for $129. The coloring on it is really beautiful. I didn't at the time know what a giclée was, and this is in the very beginning of when I was starting to source and thought, oh, maybe I can make a business out of this. So that is one where I learned I'm gonna have to definitely, and especially, now I hardly even buy prints, if I buy them at all. But it went to a wonderful home, Melissa, who loves it, and I'm so pleased. Final 5. We have a 1960s point purse. This went to one of my viewers as well. Thank you so much for your purchase. She also ordered the vintage Japanese needlepoint that had a little 3D effect on it. The point purse was $68, while the Japanese needlepoint was $118. Those were both good flips as well. I paid $10 for the point purse, and for the Japanese needlepoint I did pay $20. But it was beautifully framed, in really good shape, good condition and coloring. So I'm also starting to learn the difference of a really good quality piece and one that maybe you can pass on at a price like that. Thank you again for your purchase. And quick side note, when I'm pricing these things, am I pricing them out of the blue? Am I pricing them what I think they might be worth? No. I am definitely looking up and researching each thing, mostly by Google image search. What is it listed for, or more importantly, has sold for on eBay? If I can find it on Etsy, what is it listing for Etsy? I have not been able to find what things have sold for. I can see what has sold and if it's the same item, but I can't see what it's sold for. If you know how to do that, please comment below and let me know, because that would be very handy. But I certainly don't want to overprice people, and I definitely don't want to underprice people because it's my business. So do your research, and then it's fair for everybody involved. One moment, my son would like to play with this very heavy and very valuable chessboard, and here I am letting him. Then we have a bundle of Monkey Pod wooden trays and bowl that I got at an estate sale. These were all from Hawaii, and I thought it was really sweet because in this order it was a message that was a wedding gift for somebody, and the family had lived in Hawaii and was sending them a piece of Hawaii. So really sweet. Those I sold for $42. I got a bundle of a bunch of wooden things, including all those things, for $15. In addition to those three, I got a wooden tray, a bunch of things. So that was pretty good as well. Then my two most recent, which I love both of them, and I'm so pleased they have sold and have gone to good homes, and one is still on its way. The large vintage carved jewelry box with the blue velvet interior. That sold for $128. Thank you. That person is putting holy relics in it and left me a sweet review that it's a perfect box for it. So I'm just tickled pink, tickled pink. That is an example where I did pay up. I paid $40 for that item, but still had some margin because it wasn't super expensive to ship. I would not pay any more than that though. And lastly, remember my powder pink vintage 1950s Lincoln Beauty Wear canisters. Those are one of my most highly favorited items on Etsy, and they have sold for $98. Thank you, Chelsea. I paid $20 for the set, sold for $98, and I think shipping was right around $16, so I still had a decent margin in there. So that's everything from January 1st, 2025 to this point in May. Hopefully that gives you a little idea of what's selling well for me. A pattern I see is bigger items, and I don't necessarily mean bigger in size, but I should say higher priced items, higher quality items, things that aren't so small are selling well and actually giving me that higher profit margin. That's giving me the average of about 106 per item per sale. So I have really tried to focus and zero in on getting higher quality items that I can flip for a higher profit. My son is on the floor playing with the chessboard, and I think he's kicking the camera, so I apologize. Stop, Brixie. But he's hanging out with mom, so that's the way it is. So that is it for this video. I hope it gives you a little inside scoop. Flood the comments, tell me, do you like this type of video? Do you not like this type of video? And also a very special thank you to everyone who has purchased from me. I appreciate all of my customers, so thank you for supporting my small business. And all of you out there that continue to watch me regularly and have subscribed, thank you for your subscription and for your support. I love growing this channel. It's been so much fun. So we will see you in the next one, everyone. Happy hunting. Bye.